Hi, boys and girls. I'm so glad to be back with you again today. So this week we've been talking about naming our feelings and then naming the problem. So I have a book here. We just had Valentine's Day not very long ago. And so I've chosen the book called Franklin's Valentines. And let's see what happens with Franklin. I love Franklin. The story is by Paulette, I'm going to try to say it, Burgos, and it's illustrated by Brenda Clark. Franklin could count to 10 and back again. He knew the days of the week, the months of the year, and the holidays in every season. Today was Valentine's Day, and Franklin was counting the valentines he'd made for his friends. He wanted to be sure he hadn't forgotten anyone. "Hurry up, Franklin," said his mother. "You'll miss the school bus." Franklin rushed to find his hat and mittens and boots. He tossed his valentines into his bag. "I'm going," called Franklin, and he hurried out the door. Uh-oh, boys and girls, do you see a problem? Uh-oh. At school, Mr. Owl gave the class a Valentine's spelling bee and Valentine math problems, but everyone was too excited about the Valentine's Day party to think about work. Franklin whispered to Bear, "I can't believe we have to wait until after lunch to give out our cards." "I can't believe we have to wait until after lunch for the goodies," Bear whispered back. At last, it was time for the party. "You may go get your valentines now," said Mr. Owl. Franklin grabbed his bag and reached inside. He pulled out his hat and he pulled out his mittens. He pulled out a ball and a scrunched up piece of homework. Then he held his bag upside down and he shook it. "What's wrong?" asked Bear. "My valentines, they're gone!" cried Franklin. So there was a problem, and his friend asked, and he was able to tell what the problem was. Couldn't he, boys and girls? After Franklin looked everywhere, Mr. Owl let him phone to his mom. Call his mom at home. Okay, so boys and girls, we're going to talk about this. So there was a problem. Franklin lost his valentines. He told his friends, and he told his teacher, and then they came up with a solution to call his mom at home, right? Franklin waited and waited while his mother searched. "I am so sorry, Franklin," she finally said. "I found your valentines outside in a puddle of slush. The cards are ruined." Franklin blinked away tears. He gave the phone to Mr. Owl and he ran out of the room. How do you think he's feeling to know that his valentines were ruined? Probably pretty sad. He left crying, didn't he? Mr. Owl found Franklin in the cloakroom. "There you are, Franklin," he said. "Your friends are waiting. We can't start the party without you." "I don't belong at the party," replied Franklin. "I don't have any valentines to give," he said. "I know," said Mr. Owl. "Your mother told me what happened and I told the class." Franklin's still crying. "I guess no one's going to give me a valentines now." Said Mr. Owl. "If Bear lost his valentines, would you decide not to give him a card?" "I never do that!" exclaimed Franklin. "Bear is my best friend." "Well, maybe Bear feels the same way about you," replied Mr. Owl. Franklin thought about that. "Maybe," he said. He cheered up a little bit. Franklin and Mr. Owl went back to the classroom. Franklin watched as his friends delivered their cards. As the pile of valentines in front of them grew bigger and bigger, Franklin felt sadder and sadder. There were so many, and he had none to give in return. So the problem is he still has no valentines, right? He sighed as he opened Bear's card. "What's wrong, Franklin?" asked Bear. "Don't you like my card?" "I do, but I feel bad because I don't have one for you," said Franklin. There it is again. He used his words to tell how he was feeling. "Oh, that's all right," said Bear. "I don't need a Valentine to know you're my friend." Franklin smiled. Everyone gathered around as Franklin opened up his other cards. "Mine's a turtle cutout," said Snail. "Mine's a turtle poem," said Goose. "And I made up a turtle riddle," said Fox. "These are great!" exclaimed Franklin. "I just wish I had my Valentines for all of you." "I just wish we could start eating all these goodies," replied Bear. And everyone laughed. That night, Franklin told his parents about the party. "It sounds as if you have some very good friends," said Franklin's father. "I sure do," agreed Franklin. "Next year, I'm going to make them extra special Valentines." "Well, you've got a whole year to get ready," replied his mother. "I don't know if I can wait a whole year," said Franklin. So he's already thinking about the problem. He lost his Valentines. His friends gave him some, and he didn't have any to give. So he's thinking of a solution, which is what we're going to talk about next week. The next morning, Franklin's mother found him at his table, writing and drawing and cutting and folding. "What are you making?" she asked. "It's a surprise," Franklin answered. His mother smiled. "Well, hurry up. You'll miss the bus." But Franklin didn't hurry. He wrapped his artwork carefully, and he placed the package in his bag. He made sure that all the buckles were done up tight, and then he hugged the bag to his chest, and he went out the door. So he thought of another solution. He made his friends Valentines, and he made sure he was extra careful to pack them up just right. So what, boys and girls? He didn't lose them. As soon as Franklin got to school, he opened his package and gave everyone a card. "What are you doing, Franklin?" asked Beaver. "Valentine's Day was yesterday." "Oh, these cards aren't for Valentine's Day," replied Franklin. "They're for Friendship Day. And Friendship Day can be any day you want it to be." The end. So Franklin, he named his feelings. He was sad. He said what the problem was. He lost his Valentines. He found that out from his mom. And then he even thought of a solution, which, like I said, boys and girls, we're going to talk about more next week. I had such a great week with you, and I will see you again next week. Bye-bye, boys and girls.